Bueno, buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome. I'm enjoying everyone getting ready in the background, getting their plates ready. We'll do some introductions now and then get going. I am Raquel, class of 99 for undergrad, 2020 Simon, and I'm co-chairing this alumni network with Yvette. Yvette?
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad to see some familiar faces on here. Glorielle, I haven't seen her in a while, so it's good to see everyone. An exciting day for our inaugural event as a official network. My name is Yvette Reynolds, as I mentioned. I am the co-chair for the LED network, and I was an alumni from Simon 2012.
Okay, so thank you all for being here. This event is being recorded, as you might notice, and that will be shared with all of us participating here today.
Great. We want to take a moment to share a little bit about our network. The mission of our network is to provide opportunities for the Latin Hispanic community to cultivate, lead, and advance as a community. So all of our events are going to be geared towards cultivating, leading, and providing opportunities to advance our careers, our lives, our culture, etc. So in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do. And I hope this particular event is going to be more about our culture, sharing some of that in food.
Yes. And since, it's nice that we have the virtual opportunity, right? That because we live in so many places, we're able to come together here. And I hope that this is the beginning, that we continue to see each other at future events, and also consider volunteering, which we'll talk about later today. But we're certainly looking for volunteers to continue to develop the network. So throughout the webinar today, we will share some information via chat, and just while we're all cooking, we'll share some information, have some conversations. So, but in the meantime, if we have some committee chairs, committee members here also, you'll see that in their names, and feel free to reach out to any of us.
Great. And as Raquel mentioned, we will share some Zoom housekeeping items via the chat. So take a look at that. And if you can keep it up, the chat will be available for questions throughout, for interaction, and just to engage as we're going through the process, and just sharing questions or ideas, etc. So also, we encourage you to keep your video on, just so that we can see the great things that you're doing with following the instructions on the food. And at the end, we'll be able to share that final meal. Some of us, I'm sure, will be cooking. Others will be taking notes. I will be taking notes. But I'm so excited to get moving with this. So it's a great day for us. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. Great to have you all. Thank you for being here. And Paola, let's get going here.
Perfect. So before we start, real quick, for the folks that are going to be cooking, it totally slipped my mind to ask you for 2 more utensils, so you can gather them real quick. We're going to need a small, about like 8 inches pan for that pan, and then another for that pan of about like 12 inches. We're going to need that later, so we don't need it right away, but just for later. And then I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. My name is Paola Muciño. I am from Mexico. I was born in the Pacific West side. I've been working I used to work in the restaurant industry. I have like about 10 years of experience. I've done fine dining, casual, more administrative work. And then ultimately I decided to focus on teaching people what real Mexican food is, because I see that is a lack of appreciation sometimes for Hispanic food in general. And I think people don't, when they go to a restaurant, sometimes they see the prices and they get a little bit upset. But I think they don't understand how much first tradition, how much culture, how much love goes into it, and how sometimes it can be a very simple meal that the one we're going to make, but it's very time consuming. So what you're buying when you go to a Hispanic restaurant is the time. Well, that being said, we're going to start first with our drink, so we can have a toast later. I'm gonna switch over my camera so you can have a better view of what we're gonna do here. 1 second, there we go. And I'm also really excited that I see many people cooking. And for those that are not cooking, as they say before, we have the video being recorded, so you will have it later for making it later at home. Okay, so we're gonna start by bringing our watermelon here. And we're gonna get our, whatever you're using for blending the drink. Let me move this one. Okay. This is gonna be a very simple, quick drink. It's very good, you know, the season for watermelon and all these fruits. Summer is the perfect time to enjoy this drink. If you later wanna make it a little bit more spicy and give it a twist, you can add vodka, you can add rum, or even mezcal or tequila. Just saying, we're not gonna do that today, but just for reference. Okay, so this one, go ahead and wash your watermelon if you haven't, and then we're just gonna go and cut it. I like to cut one of the ends first, because then that gives me a base to work with the watermelon without jiggling too much and avoiding hurt myself. So then you can peel it all off if you want to. We only need about 1/4 for this drink, but you can go ahead and use it all if you want to make more for you and for your household. So I'm just gonna peel a little bit over here. Let me cut this other side. I have a very powerful knife, so you take your time and be really careful, okay? This is just my obsession with knives. I needed to have this one. Okay, so you're just gonna peel it this way. And then as they were saying before, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand with the raise your hand tool or drop the questions in the Q&A section too, so we can answer your questions right away. All right, because we only need 1/4. I know I'm not going to peel it up all the way. This should be fine. I'm just gonna get this one out of the way. And then what we're gonna do is just like roughly cut it in smaller pieces so we can blend it easier. And just add it to the blender. I might go a little bit ahead of you just because first, I know how to make this one, and second, just so you can see it. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna add here in the blender, we're gonna add 4 cups of water.
Paola, I'm gonna, if it's okay with everyone, and if it's okay with you, I'm gonna put the music back on if you'd like.
Yeah,
That be
yeah,
nice?
that would be lovely, yes.
Okay, and then, I think mostly everyone is on mute, but I always assume that you'd like people to mute themselves when they're actually blending. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
good.
I'm gonna mute myself too, because my blender, same thing, it's just like, it's an industrial one, so it's very noisy.
Okay, okay, good.
Okay, so we add 4 cups of water.
Paola,
Yes,
so should the water completely cover the watermelon?
no, it doesn't
No.
have to. Just watermelons have a lot of water by themselves, so this water just to help make it so it blends easier, and so it's not the watermelon flavor is not too overpowering.
Okay.
Okay, here are the 4 cups of mine.
Paola, we have a question.
Okay,
How do you know a watermelon is ready to be eaten? How do you pick a good one? That's a good question.
Watermelons and melons. It's about the sound. So I go to the store, I get, let me bring the one. I get it close to my ear. Let me switch the camera real quick. So I get it close to my ear and just tap it. If it sounds too dense, it's not ready. If it sounds a little bit like a drum, like a little bit hollow, it is ready. That's like the best way to know, because some people are like, oh, it's the smell, but I just don't, the smell never does it for me. Good question. All right, then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. You can add the whole 1/4 cup of sugar, or you can add half of that, taste it, and then add more if you want to, because I know some people don't like too much sugar and don't like things to be too sweet. Now let's switch the camera here. There we go. All right, so I have my sugar here. Add it. And we are also going to add here the powdered cinnamon, which is 1 tablespoon. Go like this, add here, here. Right, once you have all of your ingredients together, in the blender, cover it and go ahead and blend it. I'm gonna mute myself just because I mentioned my blender is pretty noisy. Right, mine is ready. I'm gonna switch my camera again real quick. Now, feel free to put this in a picture if you want to, and add some ice if you want to, or you can just try it by itself and see how it tastes. That's what I'm gonna do now. So you just pour it in a cup. And voila, this is how it's made. And you can add ice if you want to just have it more refreshing. I'm gonna put mine in this pitcher because we're gonna use the blender. So after you pour it in the pitcher, go ahead and rinse your blender so we can do a quick toast. I'm gonna hand the microphone to Yvette and Raquel.
Great, yes, we'd like to invite you all now to take a moment and help us toast to the Latin Alumni Network with a drink. So we'll take a moment if you don't already have a glass, or if you made the sangria, then drink, then grab that. Give everybody a moment to do that.
I added some watermelon stick to mine too.
Oh, great.
A little fancy.
Awesome.
Very nice. I was gonna say, if people who don't have their cameras on, don't feel pressured, but I would like to take a picture of everyone for the toast. So if you can put your video on while we're doing a toast, that would be very helpful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Paola. Cheers to our University of Rochester community, to a progress. I hear a lot of cheers in the background, and for the launching of this network. Salud.
Salud. Cheers.
Okay.
Delicious. It's very good.
That is good. I like the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives it like a different flavor. Like just so you
It
know,
does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It's like still refreshing, but a little bit.
It is. you know, I did see cinnamon sugar. Would that have worked, or would that be given a different taste?
I think that can work too. Try it. Like, go ahead and try it. I think might be just you might have to add maybe a little bit more cinnamon, but just go ahead and
Okay.
try it.
Okay,
Very
great.
refreshing.
I put my one.
All right.
Oh,
Well, let's continue the good vibes here that we have going on. And Paola, going on to the main dish of the evening.
Yes, let me switch here again. Okay, so I'm just quickly gonna clean my cutting table here, my cutting board, and my knife. Okay, so now we're gonna start with doing some prep work. There's gonna be required and make things easier for when we assemble the meal. So go ahead and use the bigger pot that I asked for, which is about like 2 quarts, I think. Yes, 2 quarts. So we're gonna add this one here. We're gonna add 4 cups of water here, between 4 to 5. Okay, and then while the water is warming up, we're gonna bring the chicken. We're gonna bring our chicken, and we're just gonna cut it roughly in some cubes and add to the pot here. This is gonna help the chicken to cook faster. And we're gonna shred at the end so it doesn't have to be cut perfectly. You can place the heat between like medium to high. Right, and just to give it a little bit of flavor, we're not gonna add any salt, but we are going to add 2 cloves of garlic. You don't have to peel them. We're not gonna use them for the cooking later. So this is just to give the chicken a little bit more flavor, okay? You can cover the pot or you can leave it open. So totally up to you. Now, because we use raw chicken in this one, go ahead and rinse this one really well and just give it a quick wash. I'm gonna be back in a minute. If Raquel or Yvette wanna keep telling us something about the Latin Alumni Network, you guys are more than welcome.
I noticed that Jason was talking about how he was excited about finding tomatillos. I remember when I moved to upstate New York from Texas, how it was so challenging to find Latin ingredients for cooking. I just gave up, but it is so exciting to find those little pieces of your culture in different places and how these ingredients can just remind you of your culture.
Yeah, and I've seen more and more things being added on to the stores here. The only thing that, because I used to live in Texas before as well, and I will just go to any like Mexican store, H-E-B, Walmart, and I will find almost everything I needed there. And here, if you want to go to the Mexican stores, they're like a little bit further away, which is not that far if you compare it with like Texas standards, right? Or like, I'm not Rochesterian now, so anything has to be 20 minutes away. And I'm not like, oh, I gotta drive an hour. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wait. All right, so just adjust this part here. Then we are going to cut our lettuce. So get a 7 cups or so big container, so we can put our lettuce in there. Okay. I'm gonna cut the end here, or the bottom. I'm gonna cut it in half. We're gonna cut it in juliennes, and the way you do that is you fold it like this, and you slice your knife slightly on the edge. That's what you make the juliennes for the lettuce.
Chef, and I'm wondering, so I know growing up, my mom made a lot of dishes with lettuce, and I remember one time getting cabbage instead of lettuce. Is there actually a big difference between that?
No, I think it's just the texture, and depending, especially in Mexico, it depends on the region or the state where you are. Sometimes people, like where I'm from, sopes are served with cabbage. But then you add, the ones that we're making are more like central Mexico style. The ones that we make back at home, they put a very hot tomato sauce on the top, so the cabbage kind of like cooks a little bit with the heat of the sauce. These ones are not going to be like that, so it's going to be more refreshing. These are like more quick sopes, like on the go, if you have the things ready. We're gonna add this here to the container. I feel like it's the same with pozole. Where I'm from, the pozole is white. It's just the hominy with the meat, and we add cabbage to it. And in Central Mexico, it's usually verde, rojo, and they add lettuce to it. So it's just like depending where you are in Mexico. I have family all over the place, so I'm like used to all of the styles.
So I can see there are other people who have joined the cooking class that are also talking about how they struggle to find ingredients in different places. Yes, I see Don Mendez said he would fill his suitcase with dried chili when he flew back from New Mexico. Rochester had nothing in the 80s. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know the people from Nino's, the Mexican restaurant here in Rochester, and I have heard some people saying that, oh, but that's not authentic Mexican food. And I know the people, so I know the story. So the parents moved in here about like in the 80s, so they didn't have any ingredients to cook with. So the mom was teaching the kids how to cook with whatever they had. So when you go to Nino's, the food that you eat is the version that they had to adapt to the ingredients that they have here.
Wow. The corn flying.
Okay.
Paola, Susan mentioned that she struggled finding the corn flour. Is there something else that you would recommend, like if for people who don't have a lot of options?
I will say, ingredients wise, I don't know. I know there is some cornmeal from this brand called Bob's Red Mill. That's something that could work, or any flour for arepas from Venezuela and Colombia. That also works a little bit. The difference, just like they use more of a sweet corn, we use hominy corn. Or Amazon. I couldn't find pork lard in town, and I didn't have time to go to the Mexican stores, so I ordered on Amazon. It was ridiculous, but that's what you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, this one you can just add a little bit of tap water just to keep it more fresh and preventing it from oxidizing. Okay. just like this, all the way to be covered. And you can set this one aside. We're gonna use it later. Now, let's bring up this mess here. All right, now we're going to work with our onion a little bit. Mine is a little bit too big, but I'm gonna use half of it. If you have a medium size or a smaller size onion, you can use, I'm gonna use just a quarter, I'm sorry, and you can use a half of it. This one, we're gonna also cut it in juliennes. And a way to do it easier is just by either doing it like this, just go little by little, or this way. Cut it as thin as you can, but just remember, be careful.
I'm switching to gallery view to see if anyone cries while they're doing this.
I do every time. It always gets me. I don't know why. You know how the people say that you can put a piece of onion on your head, you can soak it in water like for like 10 minutes, do this. I have tried all the tricks and they never work.
Have you tried goggles?
No, that's the only one that I haven't.
I'm not above it. I've tried it and it works.
Okay, I'll try.
I've noticed that Vidalia onions, I cry, but red onions, I'm fine. So I don't know if there's a different type of onions.
I think there is. I just don't know if my eyes are just too sensitive. And I just get, it doesn't matter which onion I use. How do I do it? All the tricks, it always gets me. I'm already starting, I'll show you. Once we finish this, I'm already like. Okay, so we're gonna put it in a small container here. And we have 2 limes. We're gonna cut them. We're gonna sort of pickle the onions, but with lime juice. So we're gonna add the lime juice to the onions. Oh, interesting. I've heard that if you keep the base of the onion on fire, okay. Maybe I'll try. I haven't tried that one. I'll try it. I'm desperate now for any trick that works. All right. Add this. Okay. Now we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna mix it well with a spoon. So the most of the onion is covered in the juice. And just remember to keep an eye on your chicken. if it's already boiling so it doesn't spill too much on you or the stove.
Paola, I know you have your very nice knife right there, that professional knife. I'm wondering if other people have like a go-to, like must-have item in their kitchen.
I have Cutco, and I gotta send them back
Nice.
to get re-sharpened, but they have like a lifetime guarantee, so that's my go-to.
Interesting. So this one, you just let it sit there too, along with the lettuce. We're just gonna put it on the side. And if you want to, you can use the same water here to cook the tomatillos and the serrano peppers, or you can put them in a separate pot and boil them in separately. So you can just add them here if you want to. I'm not going to because this one is pretty full, so I'm just gonna put them back behind in the stove. But you can just add the tomatillos and the serranos. Cut the stems of the serranos before. If you want to, it depends on how spicy you like food. I love spicy, so I'm gonna add all the 5 serrano peppers for the 8 tomatillos that I'm using, but don't feel pressure, add as much as you can handle. This one. We're gonna add here serrano peppers, tomatillos, and then a little bit of onion. You can add 1/8 of the onion that you were using, or you can add 1/4. It's gonna boil all together. And then the last 1 clove of garlic, and this is gonna be for our salsa.
Vanya, you have a question?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. I'm making mine with mushrooms instead of chicken. So I was asking if I'm using the mushrooms, do I add the mushrooms into the same pot as the tomatillos and the poblano peppers?
You can use that. I will suggest if you're using the mushrooms, instead of adding them, instead of boiling them, slightly fry them. Cut them in cut them in stripes and juliennes, and so do with the poblano peppers. And then just slightly fry them, because if you boil them, they're gonna be too soggy.
Okay. That's Thank you.
Mushrooms is one of those tricky things that they're spongy, so they absorb a lot of water. And then let's check here. We have everything here. We're just gonna wait for those things, the chicken and the tomatillos, to boil. In the meantime, this is something that we're gonna use for the salsa, but instead of blending it all together, we're gonna showcase the cilantro in the salsa. So we're going to cut it. So like roughly chop the cilantro. You can leave the stems, it's up to you. I love using the stems of cilantro because they add so much more flavor than the leaves. But you wanna cut all the stems, you can do. And the way that I chop cilantro is just like make a little bunch here. And then I just go to town. It's gonna be a little noisy, so. And this one doesn't have to be perfect. We want the cilantro to show up in the salsa.
Do you have any tricks for keeping the cilantro from spoiling too soon when you're storing
When
it?
you buy it fresh?
Mm-hmm, correct.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me open my fridge real quick. Yeah, right, because sometimes they sell you too little, sometimes they sell you too much. Like this is the case. today, like I bought, and this bunch was huge. So you can add, get a jar, a glass, whatever you need to, add some water, like half of the size of the container, and put the cilantro in there and keep it in the fridge. That will help you preserve it for about like up to like 2 weeks, sometimes 3. Good question. Right, once you finish chopping this, we are going to save the cilantro for later. Okay, I'm gonna just do a quick move here. I'm gonna move this one to my stuff in the back so I can show you how we're gonna make the beans for later too. Okay, so this is where we're gonna use the 8 inches flat pan. Let me just do some housekeeping here. Okay, so, things a little too bright. Keep my hand here so it focuses. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna keep my hand somewhere here so it focuses a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna get the canned beans that I asked you to. As I said, it's better if you use, you know, like home cooked beans, but just for the purposes of saving time today, and I don't want you to be cooking too much before the class, we're gonna use canned beans. So we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil to the pan. There we go. About 2 tablespoons of oil. And then we're gonna open our can of beans. Once your oil is hot, we're going to add the beans. Add the beans in there. Just be careful, just because if there's liquid, we're not going to drain the liquid from the beans. They're very liquidy sometimes, and with the hot oil, it might jump a little bit, so just be really careful.
I'm wondering where everyone is joining us from. So if you want to share where you're located in the chat, it'd be really cool to see where everyone is cooking from. Ohio, okay, Ohio. Rochester, let's go. Awesome. North Carolina. Enfield, Rochester, okay. San Antonio, let's go. Texas. Oh, Susan, is it Avon or Avon? I don't, maybe it's neither of those, but that's awesome.
Queens.
Mount Vernon.
Nice.
Queens.
Paola, Gloriela asked what type of beans are we using?
I'm using pinto beans. We can use pinto beans, you can use black beans, you can use black eyed peas if you have them. I will say black beans or pinto beans are the ones that are gonna give you the most flavor for this dish. So those are the ones that we're using. And the oil will enhance that flavor a little bit. So once we have, where's my hand? Okay. Once we have them here, they're getting hot, you're gonna get the masher and just mash them a little bit. You don't want them too liquefied, you want them slightly mashed. You will see once they're ready. And then I don't know if you guys know, there is this Mexican herb that we use in central Mexico a lot called epazote. I'll put it in the chat so everybody knows. I think I have some, I'll show you. Those ones when you're making, when you're boiling the beans, you will add the beans, the water, onion, a little bit of oil in the water, and a little branch of epazote, and that gives the beans like a smoky flavor that you will not find anywhere else when they cook the beans. Like that's so unique to Central Mexico. Kind of like the traditional recipe. They don't cook beans without epazote.
Jessica was asking what it is. So I'm assuming is it a spice, an herb?
It's an herb. Yeah.
An herb.
I have it here. It's gonna look weird and you guys are gonna laugh. I know what you're gonna think because this is how it looks like. So I know it looks like something else, but believe me, it's
But so does oregano, so that's okay.
right. Yes. And this is dry. I've seen the Mexican stores here sell it fresh. When it's fresh, you can use it. Has more uses when it's fresh. Once it's dry, it's basically just to you can put it on your chicken broth. You can put it in a soup, like a veggie soup. You can add it to the beans, as I said. It just gives everything like a smoky flavor when it's dry. When it's fresh, it has an intense flavor that's just hard to tell you what it is. It's very unique.
Paula, Vanya wants to know if you can repeat what we're adding to the beans.
To the beans, we're just gonna add about 2 tablespoons of oil and just empty the can in the pan. And then we're just gonna mash them, coarsely mash them.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, mine are gonna be ready right now. I want some of the beans to show once after I finish. So this is how they're gonna look like. Let me see if we can put this is how they're gonna look like. They're not too dry, not too liquidy. And then we will just set these ones on the side, and that will complete the prep time. We're going to just keep an eye on the chicken and keep an eye on the tomatillos so they finally finish cooking. And then we're gonna move to the second part of the recipe once we are making the sopes and assembling them. And I'm gonna just hand over the microphone to Yvette and Raquel so they can keep sharing with us about the Latin Alumni Network.
And there was one question about epazote. So Elena asked, can you use epazote fresh or dried in this dish?
In this dish, you will use it to cook the beans. You will use it dry mostly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, so the other thing that's supposed to be cooking is the tomatillo with the ají poblano and the onion and garlic in another
The
saucepan?
serrano pepper, tomatillos,
Yeah,
garlic, and onion.
garlic and onion. Okay.
Let me turn this over a bit.
Well, this has been great so far. Hopefully you're all enjoying it as much as we are. Before we dive into more of this dish, you want to just take a moment and share a little bit more about what we're doing, what's up and coming, and answer any questions you might have about the network as well.
So I know that we will be planning some more events like this, both virtually and in person wherever possible. And so I would encourage you to be part of our webpage on the Milera Collective so that you can receive those updates and upcoming events. And really, this is a way to engage our, increased engagement with the Latino and Hispanic alumni, community at the university. And we have 3 committees, opportunities for you to volunteer and help us out as we continue to really organize the network. We have 3 committees: the Programming and Events Committee, the Networking Mentorship, and then also the Philanthropy Committee. So 3 different committees. And reach out to any of us, Claudia, if you're interested.
And we are a community, not just of students and alumni, but faculty, staff, community members can join. We are looking to share resources with the community. So if there's any partnerships, opportunity for partnerships, we're always open to that as well. So whether it's attending, if you'd like to connect with us, whether it's attending events, connecting with us through the Meliora Collective, through the Facebook group, volunteering in some ways if you can, joining one of our committees. We're always looking for volunteers to help us out. So many hands make light work, as they say.
Absolutely. And as you see, Claudia placing in chat the direct links to those different pages. She is our network liaison. This is done through the Alumni Relations and Community Engagement Office, and we really couldn't do this without that office and the support of Claudia with us on this and really on many other things that she's helping us with. And so please join us. She's placing the link. I know you're all busy cooking, but if you can save that link on your browser. And if there are any questions, place it in chat or any of us.
I was going to say also I'll be sharing after the event, I'll share with everyone who's registered all of that information that's been shared in the chat, so you don't have to worry about it right now. But yes, if you have an opportunity to look at it, that'd be great.
That's great. Fantastic. Well, we'll turn it back to Paola. Chef Paola, how's it going?
Going well. I think I switched to the other. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna start making our sopes. We are going to measure 1.5 cups of the corn flour. This is the brand that I prefer. It's called Maseca. I know there's another one called Más Sabrosa. This is the one that we use in Mexico, and I just like my Mexican soul just doesn't want to use the other ones. But when I can find this one, I use the other one.
How does that compare to there's a Masarena? Is that
Yeah, like for arepas, the one for arepas is a little bit more, it's a little bit more sweet, so slightly sweeter. This one doesn't have, it's very mild, which is really good for, enhancing other flavors because it doesn't take over the other ingredients. So 1.5 cups for this one. One here. So.
Paula, Laura is asking, does pan also work? I don't know if that's an acronym for something or pan like bread pan.
Oh yeah. That's the one that that's the other flour that I've seen for arepas. Pan. I think that's the brand.
Oh, okay.
Pan will work, yes. Because arepas are very similar to what we're gonna make. The texture is very similar. The presentation is going to be a little bit different. We have something called gorditas in Mexico that is the same as arepas. Okay, and along with this, we're going to measure 1 cup of water and add it here. And we're gonna mix this. The texture of the dough has to be very, very smooth and very, very manageable. You will see how it's all blended. I always tell people that when it comes to making tortillas or anything with corn dough, it's very much about the texture that you see. And that's what I like to, when I'm teaching the cooking classes for other like one-on-one, I always tell them to pay attention to how it looks like. So this one is still a little bit too dry, so I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of water more.
Paula, and someone asked in the chat, I just reiterated from the ingredients list, but you used 1.5 cups of the maseca?
Yes.
And I don't know if anyone's ever seen the Más Sabrosa logo, but there is like the sassiest corn on that. It is so funny. It's too funny to see.
You can mix it all. Usually once it's ready, it's gonna start sticking together. Gonna start like gathering the little balls that are forming separately. You can also, like, if it's getting a little bit like hard for you, get your hand and squeeze the dough. That will help them like integrate it more easier.
Paula, who taught you how to make the masa?
My abuela.
Oh.
I was always like, yeah, we were always cooking. And so my abuela lives in a very small rural town in Mexico. And I remember back in the day where they still had the meals, we would go with our hominy that we would soak at home in water and lye and some salt. And then in the morning, she will wash it really early. She will wake up like at 5 a.m. and she will wash it, and then she will wake us up at 6 and send us to the mill, and then we'll have to take the corn, wait there for it to be milled, and it was a line, of course, and we were like, I'm like 6, 7 years old going there, just like all stubborn. I didn't want to come. Why is she sending us? Why is she doing this to us? I wanted to be in bed. Yeah, but then, you know, like those places stopped to exist because then people start to make the flour, so it was more practical. Okay, mine is ready. You see, because it's all sticking together, it's not separating as much. It's not breaking apart. Here we go. Okay. So, to make the sopes, we're going to make them in a traditional way. We're going to break this up in 10 balls. That's how the recipe, that's how much the recipe yields. So break this one in 10. Try that they stay the same size. It is a good workout. And I make roughly a few and then reassess about the size. Some people, like, you know, when you see cooking shows that they measure everything. I used to work in this fine dining restaurant that was Mexican. They will make us weigh the dough, and I was like, well, you know, you have the measurements in your hand, and like, no, you have to weigh it. I'm like, okay. We can't waste, and I understand, but it seems a little bit too much.
But what was the scale? Like, how many would you have to weigh?
I don't remember. I don't remember how much they weighed it. But supposedly the recipes that the chef made were precise. So if he tells you this should give you 10, and they should weigh, I don't know, like 100, 150 grams, that's what they should weigh. And if you had a little bit left, you did it wrong in his mind. I was like, I follow the recipe. Okay, I'm gonna have to add a little bit more because they're a little bit smaller. If anybody that is in Rochester hasn't gone to this new place called Tavos, I highly recommend it. It's pricier than the other restaurants here in town, but it's really good. And it's very, very authentic.
Where is it?
Tavos, let me put it in the chat. Tavos is in North Winton Village.
Okay.
I think I have mine almost ready. There's few that are gonna be a little bit smaller.
I have another question for the participants today. I'm wondering, what is your favorite dish to make? Drop it in the chat or let us know. What is your favorite dish to make? Pastel Azteca. Oh,
Yeah.
Sancocho. Jason, does that mean, are you Colombian? Or maybe he just likes
Yes, I am Colombian.
Awesome.
Happy early Colombian Independence Day, everyone, July 20th.
Okay, there we go, Colombia.
Nice. All right, so once we have this
Champurrado.
here, we're gonna form the bowl a little bit better. And you're gonna squeeze it down with this part of your palm. You could also use a rolling pin. You can have a plastic, like the Ziploc big 1 gallon bags with one at the bottom, and then like cut the bag all open, all the way open, put one half of the bag at the bottom, put this, and then the other side of the plastic bag on top, and then you can use the rolling pin, but you know, you will be cheating a little bit. So we're gonna make it how they do it traditionally in Mexico. So here, again, with this part, just start squeezing it down for a minute. Or you can also do this until it gets show you the size. Has to be, and it's normal if it starts looking a little bit like broken on the sides. That's normal. The edges are gonna change shape a little bit too, so you'll see. So do it about like the size of your palm, okay? Once it has that size, you're gonna start pinching the edges. So it looks like this a little bit. Like this. Okay, and we can go ahead and do that with all of the 10 pieces, or we can go ahead and start cooking this one and assembling this one, so you all can see how it's made and done from beginning to end, that's what I'm gonna do, so I can show you how to do it. We're gonna get the big pan here. We're gonna add about a 1/4 cup of oil. While we wait for the oil to warm up, we can make another one.
Okay, Paula, maybe this is controversial.
Okay.
But what is your take on putting these in the air fryer?
I'm not opposed to it if it saves you time. And like I'm all in favor of people using what they have for cooking. That's what I always try to tell people. Like, I will give you a list of ingredients, but I will not, like utensils, but I will not tell you it has to be this specific one, like that's why I like people to use what they have, because if we professionals in the kitchen force people to use specific tools, like they're expensive. Sometimes it takes time to learn how to use them, and you don't use them every day. So use what you have at home. So these ones on the air fryer, let me know if you make them, let me know how they go.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna make the other one here. Putting this oil to the max so it warms up easier and faster. And I feel that's why so many people don't like cooking, they just sometimes it's a lot of work and time that we don't have. We're all busy, we don't have time. Here's another one. If you want to know if your oil is ready, you can take just a tiny piece of the dough and just drop it in there. It starts bubbling, it's ready. Mine is taking its time.
Paola, what are some helpful tips or tricks that you've learned along the way that you would share? What's your top?
Oh, I'll show you this one when we get there, but when you are blending something that is really hot, you use a towel and you cover the blender with it. Because we have the tendency to put our hand on top of the lid so it doesn't go up. When things are really hot, that's just meant to happen. Things are just gonna spin up. You cover it, I'll show you later. And then you twist part of the towel underneath the handle of the blender and you hold that down. So instead of putting your hand, if anything goes up, it will go on the towel and it won't burn you. That's one of the most helpful things that I learned. And the second one is always keep your knives extra sharp. If you keep them really dull, you won't feel when it's cutting you, if that happens to you. If they're really sharp, you will feel it right away. So then you will have that reflex of taking your hand off. If they're really dull, it's they're more dangerous that way. That's another thing. Those are my two saving tips, always. It seems that my oil is ready now. So I'm gonna put my first one in, and the second and the third since are.
Yeah, it's only right that we're that Chef Paula is frying these while we listen to Luis Miguel. It's only right.
Yeah, spot on. You can get a spatula if you want to, or moving them around. Sometimes I've seen people doing this. Feel free, you put some hot oil on top and they start cooking on the top. We're gonna still flip them though, so it just accelerates the cooking time a little bit. And while those ones are cooking, you can keep making the other ones. If by any reason you feel your dough is still too dry, at this point, you can start adding a tablespoon of water at a time until you feel it's not breaking apart too much. Here we go again, pinch all the edges. You will see that they're ready at the bottom when they start getting a little bit golden. They change the color a little bit. These ones still need a little bit of time, and they're gonna get a little bit more hard.
Paula, Susan asked how do they know they're done? Do we flip them or no?
Yes, we are gonna flip them. So I will say roughly in time, you will leave them in one side, the first side, or at the bottom for about half a minute or 40 seconds, roughly. As I said, you will see the change in color a little bit. It's gonna start changing color to a more golden, like a golden yellow. I think this one, you can start seeing on this one. Let me get another spatula. You can start seeing in this one a little bit. I see this latest, a little bit here in the edges. It's getting a little bit more golden. This one as well. So these ones we can actually start flipping. So this is another trick too. You can use the edges of the pan. Oh, this one is not right. You can use the edges of the pan to flip them over. Instead of, you can use that, you can use another spatula and hold them together and flip them. Because if you do this, remember, this is really hot oil. You can, the oil can jump on you and burn. Okay, so just be really careful with this.
Paula, would tongs work?
Yeah, that will work too. With tongs, you will have to be more careful just to, let me show you. If they're not completely golden at the bottom, they might break easier. But if they are, you can just flip them over like this. This one broke though, so I think this one wasn't ready, and that's a good example of what not to do.
Paula, Yvette wants to know what kind of oil do you recommend to use?
Avocado oil, sunflower oil. If you're not allergic to nuts, walnut oil. Those are the ones that resist the heat the most, and they are less processed. Most of them are cold pressed, so those ones. Coconut oil works too for frying, but coconut oil does have a strong flavor, so your food will taste like coconut oil. But yeah, avocado oil, sunflower oil, or walnut oil. I do not recommend using olive oil for cooking because it burns really easy. We call it in the kitchen called the smoking point. The smoking point of olive oil is very short. You put it to warm up and it heats up right away. So the chemistry of the oil changes a little bit and it's not as healthy once it's too hot. That's more just like for salads, for dressing, something that you're gonna drizzle on the top, just toss it lightly. Let me just. I'm gonna bring these ones out. This is ready. This one is ready as well.
Paola, Jen wants to know if vegetable or canola oil is okay.
They're not, I wouldn't recommend them much just because of the nutritional value. They don't add any nutrition, and the way they're made, they will not help with your cholesterol. You know how the doctors always say good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Vegetable oil and canola oil are bad cholesterol. The other ones that I mentioned are on the good cholesterol side. So if you want to help, that part of your body, I wouldn't recommend them. If that's all you have, use it, but not abuse it. And I know it's hard because especially after the pandemic, like prices have gone up so much. So sometimes it's hard to have a more balanced, healthier diet. I'm gonna turn off my oil here because I want to start showing you how to assemble these ones and to make our salsa and show you the towel trick.
I saw something on TikTok where this person, I think was from Australia. I think she might have been from, like, I don't know, the World Health Organization, something like that. And she had mentioned that that other, countries outside of the U.S. don't always allow for certain things because of the nutritional value. And she had mentioned that, organic can be, like the healthier options can be a little bit more expensive, but they do fill you up more, like they fill you up more, so you need less of them.
Yeah, it seems like they have a different flavor too. You will notice with tomatoes when you buy or you have organic tomatoes, the taste is so much different that it's not so much water. So that taste kind of like also tricks your brain onto feeling more full. Okay, we have these ones. We're gonna make the salsa. So whoever is where you are at, just pause for a little bit so I can show you how to use the blender in a safer way for blending anything that is too hot. So we're going to add the tomatillos with as little liquid as possible. The tomatillos, the peppers, and the onion, and the garlic that we use. If the tomatillos break, don't worry about it. We're just gonna blend it all anyways. That one doesn't want to crawl. There we go. All right, it's all in there. Let me switch the camera real quick so you guys can see what I mean with the towel thing. Okay, so get a towel that is a good size. Cover your blender like this. Have my handle here, so I will go and take the ends of the towel down here underneath the handle and twist it. That will make this make pressure on the lid, and if anything spills up, it will spill on the towel. Don't put your hand, because even if you have the towel in your hand, you're gonna get burned. Okay, so just put it like this, and I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna blend this, mute myself because this is gonna be loud. I'm gonna have a 4-cup or so container ready here to put my salsa in there.
And then Jen asked, are tomatillos tomatoes or something completely different?
They come from the same family, but they're different. If you buy tomatoes, regular tomatoes that are not already all the way ripe at the store, you will taste the tomato. Tomatillos have a more acidic, sometimes bitter taste. They're like cousins. Okay, we have our salsa here, and we're gonna bring the cilantro that we chopped before, and we're gonna add it to the salsa. Mix this well. And we're gonna add salt to taste. I like salty, so I always add a lot of salt, but that's one of those things is sugar and salt always add to taste. If you're not sure, just add a little bit. Taste it, add more, and taste it. If you add too much, that's a little bit hard to fix. So I'm adding roughly a half teaspoon here, and I'm gonna taste it. Put a little bit in my hand. For me, it's way more. Something else that I noticed here in Rochester is that serrano peppers are hit or miss. Sometimes I buy them and they're so spicy, and I'm thinking they're not gonna be spicy, and I put too much, and then anything is just too spicy, even for me. Sometimes I add too little. Sometimes it just never like standard with the spice level. I don't know why.
So is it spicy now?
Yeah, maybe. But they couldn't then earlier, I don't know.
Are there other peppers that you would recommend adding to this salsa?
You could add, you could roast some jalapenos and add them once you are blending the salsa. Or you can add chile de árbol, which is serrano pepper once it's dried. It's dried and smoked a little bit. So they're the same thing, just different versions of the same pepper. But you can boil the chile de árbol with everything else here too, and just blend it all together. Those are more spicy though. Those for sure are more spicy. So be more careful with those ones. Okay, here's our salsa. Okay, I'm gonna ask everybody that is cooking to put in the chat if you guys are ready with your salsa. You have finished your salsa, so I can show you how to assemble the sopes. We're gonna start doing the assembly. I want you to see first, and then you can make your own. We're gonna bring all of the things that we cut before, that we prepped before: the onion, the lettuce, the beans. I also asked you guys to buy some cheese. This is where you're gonna bring it out. Move this out of the way, we don't need it anymore. Let's center these. Have my cheese open a little bit here.
Paola, it looks like most people are ready.
Perfect. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my sour cream here. Few serving spoons just for quick. And here comes the knife again. I'm gonna get an avocado ready too. I know some people are afraid of this part. Just be careful always that when you take the pit, I always just pinch it with the knife, twist it. This one doesn't want to come out though.
I think I'd be scared if I was using that knife.
If this happens to you, that the pit doesn't want to come out, just cut it in half again and take it like this. There we go. I'm only gonna need a little bit. Avocados is one of those other things too, like you buy them and they're not ready and you wait for them to be ready and then it's too late. It's always hit or miss as well. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna slice these avocados here. You have a few slices. And perfect. Okay, so we have our sopes here. We're gonna get a little bit of the beans. You don't need too much because remember we are adding a bunch of other things. This is just to give it a little bit of a taste of beans. Spread them all across their sopes. We get a little bit of the chicken that we cooked before. I'm gonna get this much here. You can use 2 forks to shred it. Doesn't have to be perfect, just break it apart a little bit. And for banya, if you're using the mushrooms, this is where you, instead of the meat, you will put the mushrooms on top of the beans. Coarsely shredded. All right, and then we're gonna add these to the sopes. And just a little bit. I like to cover the center and a little bit of the surface of the sope. There we go. There we go. And then we're gonna add a little bit of lettuce. You can get that with your hands.
I'm so jealous of everyone who's actually making it and about to eat it because that looks delicious. Oh.
Okay. Then we're gonna add a small dollop of sour cream on the top here. I mean, you can add more if you want to.
Yeah, Raquel, thank you for reminding everyone. If you want to take pictures of your dishes, it'd be great. You can post it on social media, tag us in it. We have a Facebook group, as I put in the chat. Yeah, feel free to do that. Or if you'd like to send it to me, I can do it as well. I can post. I know not everyone has social media. Or if you have pictures, I mean, like I see groups of people doing like a cooking party. So please take your selfies and send them, post them. That'd be great.
Okay, now we're gonna add the onion that we put to pickle with the lime juice earlier as well. Tempting as much as or a little as you want. There we go, and few slices of avocado. Then can go on top, on the sides. You can make it more artistic. And now, depending on the cheese that you're using, I know sometimes cotija cheese is hard to find. Queso fresco is a little bit more easy to access at the stores. But if you can't find neither of those, feta cheese has a very similar taste to cotija cheese, salty and dry. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and I'm going to add it here to my sopes.
Paola, do you like the crema, like the lighter, like the Mexican sour cream?
Yeah, I like, yes, like the Mexican one, the thing that have some at the stores, or am I? No, is that the one you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one better because that's not acidic and it's not sour. Okay, here and now we add our salsa. The salsa, when you are eating together at a table, you can put the salsa at the center of the table and just let everybody add salsa to their own taste. For the purposes of showing you how this looks like and the presentation, I'm just gonna add it all together here. All right, and that's how it's supposed to look. Let me see if we can get better lighting here. And those are the sopes. Ta-da!
Those look amazing.
Thank you.
It looks fantastic. If anybody wants to share on their screen as well,
Yes, show us your sopes.
show us your sopes.
I think they're putting them together now.
Look at all that concentration.
I feel like I'm watching an episode of like I don't know, a cooking contest, like a cooking.
2 minutes, chef, right?
Yes, yes.
30 seconds.
I know Gordon Ramsay. There is this new show on Hulu called The Bear. Really good. I feel as somebody that has worked in the kitchen, and I know so many other chefs have said the same thing, but as somebody that has worked in the kitchen, that's one of the most accurate shows when it comes to the kitchen industry.
Did it give you PTSD?
It did. It did. There is this episode when they're yelling at each other, and I was like, oh, that moment when you hate everybody. Everything is going south. You hate everybody. You yell at everybody. And then the shift ends and everybody's just happy again.
Would you go on a cooking show, Paula?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be yelled at again. Maybe I can organize a cooking show.
There you go.
Just like have contestants and have them
Oh,
make food for me.
Susan. Gorgeous. Look at that.
We have more for you, so use it all.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Hold on. I wanna get a picture with everyone's sopes. So
Jason,
we'll let everyone.
Oh.
All right. I got you, Jason.
Wow.
Very nice.
Nice. Good for knowing how to make the adjustments. I see here the lactose, the tomatoes. Good for you.
Yum.
Oh wow.
Amazing.
Okay, Donna.
Oh Pierre, those look nice. Mhm.
Very authentic, right? Oh my.
And you want, if you
Jealous,
want,
I
you
wanna
can
try some.
have one in toast. Okay, so let me take.
I know Jason is putting it on there, like, you know, the lighting, making sure everything is all good. He worked so hard. He worked so hard.
Perfect. So let me know. Take a bite and let me know what you think. I'm gonna save mine for when Sean comes back. So otherwise he's gonna kill me if I start without him.
This has been so fun. Have you guys enjoyed this?
Yes.
Yes, I see thumbs up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I see the smiley faces too.
This was really, really good. Thank you so much, Paula. This was amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chef Paula, thank you so much for this demonstration. Hope everybody enjoyed it. We'd like to hear from you to see if you would like similar events in the future. What would you be interested as far as like another event for our network? We're open to ideas.
Yeah, I think as Beth was saying, I think we'd like to, you know, invite everyone to stay on if you'd like to. Don't feel any pressure to stay on. I know people have lots of things to do or they want to enjoy with their groups, but if you'd like to stay, myself, I think Raquel and a few other folks are going to be staying on so we can join together and eat and have conversation. So, yeah, I'll let Raquel and Yves, you know, do their thing, but feel free to hop off or stay on, whatever you like.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. This was fantastic. I can't wait to go back to the recording. So remember that the recording will be available if you need to look at it again to make this recipe. I'm anxious to try it. So because everything looks delicious, but feel free to reach out to any of us for any additional ideas or the network, what we can do to support you and to partner with other organizations as well. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yes, and thank you to Paola. Thank you for being here with us and showing us your skills and walking us through the dish making. I'm so grateful for you too. Absolutely.
Yeah, I dropped Paula's information there. Her Instagram is on
Thank
there.
you. That's wonderful. Yes.
God.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm gonna attempt to show you guys just so
Buen
everybody
provecho.
can see it.
But oh, Vanya, look at that.
Those are nice.
Beautiful.
Look
Thank
at
you
that
so much,
table.
Vanya. Oh, nice.
And veggie.
No, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I love doing these kind of events. Claudia shared there my Instagram account if you're gonna follow me. I can also, she also has my email if you wanna send me an email. I offer cooking classes one-on-one. I can do these kind of events, but also if you wanna do something with your family and friends, we can do something either online if you're in the Rochester area in person, just hit me up.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna leave you guys so I can reorganize my mess here. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Enjoy your sopes.
Paola.
And your
Buen provecho a
café.
todos.
So much.
Provecho.
Bye.